Begin this hour with breaking news. A shooting a short time ago in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. It happened outside 345 Park Avenue between 51st and 52nd Streets. Take a look here. You can see someone with a rifle walking outside the building on Park Avenue that contains the NFL headquarters and the consulting company Blackstone. A short time later, we could see people walking outside with their hands up. Let's get right to our Aaron Katersky, who's on the phone with the latest reporting. Aaron, just give us a tick-tock of what you know happened so far.
We believe that this man, who's armed with a long gun, Lindsay, shot an off-duty NYPD officer who was working a security detail at 345 Park Avenue. We believe for the Blackstone Group. The building also, as you say, contains the headquarters of the NFL. It's not clear that either of those companies or any company happened to be involved in this, but the man is believed to have shot the off-duty officer, at least one civilian as well. Their conditions unknown, and then fled inside the building. There was a floor-by-floor search as police pursued the suspect. People who worked for various companies in the building were told to shelter in place, and the upper floors remain locked down tonight, Lindsay. Finally, the shooting suspect, according to police sources, was found dead of what's believed to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound on the 33rd floor of the building.
And so the lockdown is now over, Aaron, is that right?
The lockdown is not over as far as the police are concerned. They are still keeping some of the upper floors of the building locked down, perhaps as they conclude their investigation, but other people have been cleared to leave. So it's just been a terrifying day and into the evening for people who work at 345 Park Avenue and the surrounding buildings in Midtown Manhattan, concentrated with any number of office buildings. There's some residential in the area too. But this shooting happened in daylight on a very hot day. It sent people scattering. It sent other people who were inside the building seeking cover where they were before police gave the all clear, saying the suspect was found dead on the 33rd floor.
We understand that the deputy director of the FBI says that the Bureau is now providing assistance to the NYPD. I know it's still early on in the investigation. I'm imagining the shooter's name hasn't been released, or if he had any relationship with any of the offices inside the building.
By now, you can bet that the authorities are working on those very questions, Lindsay, because they're going to want to know who this person was, where the long gun came from. It is there are very strict rules about guns in New York City, and so how that weapon was obtained is going to be a question, and then whether there's any connection to an individual or to a business that's located inside 345 Park Avenue. It does contain, as we've said, some high-profile companies, but whether that was a connection has still not been determined at this early stage, Lindsay.
And I understand that there was a security guard who was involved in some way. Do we have a sense of the number of victims?
Not. I believe it was an off-duty NYPD officer who was working a security detail for a client inside that building that was shot, condition unknown, taken to the hospital in an unknown condition. We believe at least one civilian, if not more, were also shot before this suspect was found dead, on one of the upper floors, the 33rd floor of the building.
Why has the building not been cleared yet, given that they believe that the suspect is now deceased?
I think it probably is clear. The NYPD believes this is now over and contained. They may have some investigative steps to do as they finish. And always, Lindsay, out of an abundance of caution, there's always an assumption that there may be, an additional threat, even if there's no evidence of that. So the police want to make sure. But we believe a couple of the upper floors may still be locked down, even as some of the other floors on the building are now released.
And again, I understand that this is so preliminary and early on in the investigation, so sorry to kind of put you on the spot with some of these questions, but at this point, do we believe that the only death is the suspect?
We're not sure of that, Lindsay. We do know that the suspect is believed to have died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound up on the 33rd floor, but we do not know the conditions of other people who were shot. And frankly, Lindsay, we're still hearing conflicting reports about the numbers of people who were shot. We know that there was the off-duty NYPD officer, and we believe at least one civilian. it's possible those numbers change as the investigation deepens.
A few of us have been inside that building before. Obviously, there's heavy security, and so a number of people are going to want to know, how did he make it up to the 33rd floor? And again, I'm presuming it's too early to know.
Yeah, I think it is, Lindsay, and if he was carrying what looks to be a long gun in the image that we obtained, did he shoot his way inside? Did he merely threaten? Were there people cowering? All of those things, I think, were going to be, answered in the coming hours.
Okay, Aaron Katersky, thank you so much, as always, for your time and insight. Really appreciate it. On the phone now, I want to bring in retired Chief of Detectives for the NYPD, ABC News contributor Bob Boyce. Bob, a man carrying what appears to be an assault rifle in Midtown Manhattan. Imagine it's one of your worst nightmares. How did the NYPD appear to respond tonight?
As we always do. Now, we don't get many active shooters. This is unusual. And it's more unusual than that in a building like that with so many corporate entities, with all kinds of private security nearby. So this is a really unusual situation. The officer who was shot, from what I understand, was working paid detail, which is working usually in uniform, allowed by the NYPD, but he's off duty. So at that point, he's working for one of those companies in there, and we have to figure out what that was all about. What did the officer do to confront him when he saw this individual coming with an assault rifle, with, from what I understand, an extended magazine on it as well? And apparently this is what happened, and then another shooting took place. So the situation is contained now, and now we work back to find out exactly why he was doing it, motive. They had to clear the building, and that's important to understand, too. It's a crime scene, so people have to be pulled from there. And you really don't know, Lindsay, who's who in this thing when you get there, when you're first on the scene. So you have to do it really tactfully, as best as you can. All prayers for the officer and the wounded victims right now. I don't have to tell you what an assault rifle can do.
And what's interesting is we were just looking at that image that's on the screen, is that he didn't have a concealed weapon. I mean, it was out in the open. And so you'd have to wonder, as I was just discussing with Aaron Katersky, how he was able to get back into the building or get into the building initially with that gun and then make it up to the 33rd floor.
That's correct, and we'll determine that through videos and all kinds of things. Exactly, did he brandish the gun as soon as he walked in? It looked like he had it open at the time, and you have to wonder exactly who he pointed at to get to where he got in the upper floors. So that'll all come back in the investigation. Right now, we're working backwards to find out exactly. We'll also trace his steps before he got into the building to see where he came from. Did he come out of a subway? When did he show that weapon? Because that's in the streets of Manhattan. I don't have to tell you, it's very unusual. And so many private sector security agencies are there. It's really, really surprising he got that far armed with that gun. Again, and no one else got shot on the way up there. So these things are all a bit of a surprise. In the coming hours, we'll find out more and more once we identify the individual.
In an event like this, the goal of police is, of course, to neutralize the shooter. But short of that, what else are officers doing to try to minimize any loss of life?
Well, right now, you have to check every room in the building and make sure everybody's okay. There's no one had any medical emergency. People have heart attacks when this happens. It really scares you quite often. So you have to deal that into the equation too. Hospitals are nearby. That's not an issue. We have a lot of hospitals in New York. But right now, with the critical injuries that the officer and at least two victims incurred have to be dealt with right now.
We know there was an order to shelter in place for those inside the building. What's the purpose of such an order? How long do you think that that's going to remain in place?
So that is common protocol in all active shooters. And like I said before, each building will have to be searched and let go and walked out. That's what happens there. They're walking people out of there right now, from what I understand. CRC is there, walking them down the corridors, down to the elevators and to the stairways out of the building. That's what shelter in place means. You stay there until you see a uniformed police officer come out and free you and walk you out. So that's going on right now.
And Bob, with the shooter now dead, what will police do in order to try to learn more about him and a possible motive?
You really have to. There's a lot to it. We have to identify him first. So they're going to take the serial number on that gun and see if that goes anywhere. They will have fingerprints to see if he's ever been arrested before. They'll put his face, if at all possible, in facial recognition to see if they can identify him in that way. Save that, then it's a lot more after that to see if you can identify him. He doesn't have any ID on his person. There's a lot we can do to identify him, and then work back social media, all kinds of things, and see what his anger was and what caused this whole thing.
We can imagine that for the sake of the investigation, police would urge pedestrians from getting near that area of 52nd and Park and Lexington.
Yeah, it'll be locked down for probably all night. So they really have to go back to the video and see where this individual came from. Did he come out of a subway? Did he take a bus, and was that gun hidden at that time? Did he take a car or a cab or anything like that? They'll work back on him before he got there, as they did so many times in investigations in Manhattan with this video everywhere. Most people will come up, and even cell phones, whatever they have on this individual. It's important to understand that.
But again, you say that this is a very unusual kind of act for Midtown Manhattan.
Well, you look at that building, you look at all the corporate entities in the building. It's really something. The Blackstone building, and there's a lot of people there. There's both financial, there's the NFL. Who did he have the disagreement with, the beef with? And generally speaking, it's on the 33rd floor. That's the first place that detectives will search and see why he went to that floor.
Bob Boyce, we thank you so much as always.